YouTube, it's Austin here. I am just got done with my live stream previously, doing with singing, but right now we are going to continue my podcast with part two of starting with. Well, this is gonna be part one, starting with my childhood, but part two of the podcast. The podcast kind of broke down into my whole podcast of what we're gonna be talking about. Um, so yeah, we can get started here. I'm going to go to here. Give me a second, guys. We are back. All right. I'm going to go back into some not very more specific. Going to go into some detail. Um, Before I was pregnant, I found out from my mother that my biological dad was not a good person to be around. He was not the best of a person that somebody could have as a father. But I also found out he came home drunk one night and tried to beat my mom while she was still pregnant with me. But I'm glad I do not know him. I messaged him and texted him a couple of times, and then I realized that this wasn't what I wanted to be in or what I wanted to deal with. Even though people can change all the time, but they can change for a little bit and then they go right back to the old, which I've been there, I've done that. Look where I'm at, I'm in the sunroom again. But this is my podcast, and we're on part two of the childhood, or part two of the podcast, but part one of the childhood, because part two was just kind of breaking down and summarizing. Part one was summarizing the whole podcast of what we're going to talk about here. So, my childhood was starting off 3 months. When I was 3 months old, my babysitter shook me. I ended up in the hospital with internal bleeding in the brain, fractured skull. Had 3 seizures while I was in the hospital. I'm thankful I'm here because otherwise I would not be doing this kind of stuff right now. Doing what I'm doing, making these podcasts, making these YouTube videos. Um, let's see here. I went to Head Start when back in 2000, maybe. Yeah, it had to be 2000 or 2001, somewhere along that era. Um, I had a really nice bus driver. I had a nice school teacher. They were both. I still talk to both of them to this day. Well, I see one of them every so often, and then the other one, I used to have on one of my old Facebooks, but I don't remember how to get onto that, so I don't know how to go about that one. But anyway, um, there was a lot of times that I tried to get out of school when I was younger because faking sick or whatever, and they finally caught on to it. My parents finally caught on to it when I was younger, just to get out of school. I didn't like school because I was bullied. Um, my childhood was just nothing but a nightmare to me in school, and I didn't want to talk to anybody about it. I didn't want to bring it up to anybody about it because I just felt like it made it worse at home. coming home trying to say something to somebody about it or bringing it up to somebody. Uh, but it's just the matter of you have, there's people out there, well, not people, but kids out there that will commit suicide or try to commit suicide due to the verbal bullying or the physical bullying or cyberbullying. Because they don't want to talk to nobody about it. They don't want to put nobody. They don't want to put nobody else in their position to help them with their problems. They want to try to face their problems themselves. That's not how it's supposed to happen. I've been bullied in school, and I haven't never talked to anybody about it. Um, Not very much, but I'm still here. I didn't commit suicide over it. But it's just the fact that there are people out there around that were my age when I was in school that would do that kind of stuff because they didn't know how to deal with it, and then the teachers or the school board itself say that there's a no bullying policy, but yet they can't do nothing about it unless you come up and say something to them. Even I've noticed when I was in school, if you say something to them about the bullying thing, they say they're gonna do something about it, but yet nothing got done. I've noticed that a lot in my school time of being in school, like till maybe like sixth grade. Then I started making a couple friends or trying to make friends. Uh, my brother and I did not get along in my childhood. We would always fight. They're not all the time, but sometimes we would fight, argue, or whatever it could be. There is an argument over something, but I just I don't know how I didn't know how to control myself. I didn't know how to control the anger. I ended up being on medication when I was younger uh, for the I keep hearing noises, guys. For the bullying or my brother picking on me. I think a little bit of it was to out brag my brother on to it, but it was just a headache, and I couldn't. I just I'm glad that I can actually talk to my brother now and do stuff. I still tease him every so often here and there, but it's just the bullying thing. I just because I thought I was getting bullied, I'd try to pick on my brother and try to do it back to him. But I've learned back in the days that two wrongs don't make a right. Um, but the whole bullying thing that I dealt with when I was younger, it was just it was emotional. It was you live with it the rest of your life because you feel like you've been hurt and you've been broke when you could sit there and try to make friends, but you sit there and try to make friends, and it's just they want to pick on you. They want to bring you down, or they want to try to do with you with the emotional abuse, like how you look, how you think, whatever. And it's just that's not how life should be. Life should be you either don't want to be friends with that person or you be friends with that person and deal with it, because that's to me that God didn't make us to be mad at each other or hate one another. I feel like that we should all be friends in some sort of way uh to make life go forward instead of backwards. My sixth grade year, I don't know, my sixth or seventh grade year, I did track and field, and I did that for one season, and then I quit doing that. Um, Thinking I'd lose some weight, and it wasn't my thing. I just didn't feel like pushing it to. I felt like I was pushing myself too extreme. But I learned now that if you want to succeed in life, you can't give up. You got to push yourself in order to do that routine every day. If you write down something saying I'm going to lose weight and have a visual board of it and for yourself to say I'm going to lose weight, and you see that every morning when you wake up, you'll know, hey, I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to do this to help my weight. It's it's difficult, very difficult until you get into the routine of it. It's very, very difficult. My cousin can eat anything that he wants and not gain an ounce. Literally, he would not gain an ounce. And me, I eat anything like junk food or any sort of along lines of that, and it's to the point where I just gain weight. I was up to 210 pounds this summer, even though I walk everywhere, and I've still gained that weight. Winter's coming, and I don't know how to. I don't know how I'm gonna react to that with not being able to walk as far because with the cold weather and everything else that goes on. But we're gonna go back into my childhood. Um, the homework situation that I was having with my parents when I was within school, um, when I was like elementary, middle school. I would always fight with them about doing homework. I would always argue with them about doing homework. And it was just an everyday thing. And I don't know if had to do with me being bullied in school when I was in school or what, but it got to the point where I couldn't handle it anymore. Uh, I just couldn't feel safe where I was at. But I felt like once I got into high school, I felt like if I could do this, I'm gonna do it. There were a couple times I come home from school in my high school time that I would still refuse to do homework, but I got it done. But my parents always told me that if you do your homework first and get it done, then you have more free time at the end of the night to do this or do that or hang out with your friends, play video games. Give me a second, guys. Sorry about that. Let's see here. What else could I give you guys about my childhood school time? Um, Also, when I was a juvenile, like I said in the first podcast, when I was a juvenile, right before I came to an adult, my parents were getting I think it was before their divorce or during their divorce. Um, I my mom moved out and moved over into a different county. Well, my mom and I don't get along very well while we're in the same household, but it was just the fact that I didn't want to be where I was by myself because my dad wasn't going to be home for another couple weeks. And I just didn't feel like I wanted to be home by myself because at that age, I was just. I, when I was younger, guys, I was afraid of dark 100%. I may be walking around town at night or whatever, but I'm still kind of sketchy about the darkness. I will be honest with that. I'm very, very sketchy with dark because you don't know what's gonna come around you. You don't know what's gonna be coming to your surroundings. But it's just scary being in the dark. But I'm also doing a book on this podcast as well, you guys. With the Life of Austin, but this podcast is called The Life of Austin, but we're doing it down into sections. So we are just gonna do one one day at a time. If I can get this done, then I might do more podcasts as we continue on with after we're done with this podcast. Um, if you guys have any questions or comments that you want to bring up to me about anything, feel free to do that, and we will. I can see if I can fit in, or if there's anything you want me to talk about. Um, what we talked about today with my childhood or schooling. If there's anything along those lines that you want me to talk about in at the beginning of my next podcast, before we get into the third part of the podcast or the third section of the podcast. Well, yeah, third video of the podcast. That third video at the beginning, if you want me to bring up something about the schooling or a childhood part that you guys want to know about, feel free to put it in the comments. Uh, message me on Facebook, anything, and we'll go from there. But also, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family to like, comment, and subscribe as well. Do your best to help me get up there. I know there's a lot of people out there that do YouTube videos and stuff that are pretty big, but you always start from the bottom and work your way up. But I really appreciate it, guys, if you can get your friends and family to hit that subscribe button, like these videos, and do comments if you guys have any comments. But I will talk to you later, and I'm out. Peace.